Simulcast the Neil Haley Show and celebrity interviews live from the Grotto with Greg Hanna. Greg, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing amazing. I can't wait to talk to our next guest.
Our next guest is Chris Ruddy. He's the CEO of Newsmax. Chris, thanks for stopping by. And Greg has a lot of quick questions. We only have you for a bit of time, so let's get rolling.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, great to meet you, Chris. Thanks for
Great to
taking a
be
few
on with
minutes.
you, Neil and Greg.
Appreciate it. Real quick, I just wanted to touch base with you. I heard that you guys were going IPO. You want to talk about that real quick?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate your time. You do look like you're in a wine cellar, so I wish I had some of that fine wine. Good way to kick off the weekend here.
Anytime you're in Boston, come on by.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I'll make a note of it. Newsmax has been around for a while. We started as a digital media company in 95, 98, I'm sorry. Had tremendous influence and impact. In 2014, we started a cable news channel. And now we're the fourth highest rated cable channel with great shows like Greta Van Susteren, Rob Schmidt, Greg Kelly, a lot of others. It's been tremendous. And we're reaching about 40 million people regularly. Reuters just did a study and they found that there's 12 top news brands in the United States, and Newsmax is one of them. We felt like with the tremendous interest in Newsmax, we should go public. We're so close to overtaking CNN in the ratings, on Nielsen ratings. Now would be the time for us to have a tremendous impact. And we could join with tens of thousands, 100,000 investors. So we did file last week to go public with the SEC. We have a great investment bank digital offering. And we actually have the ability for people to buy shares early with a discount of 25% to the IPO price and a 7% dividend. Pretty interesting stuff. Obviously, the IPO is subject to approval by the SEC. If they go to newsmaxinvest.com, our website, all one word, newsmaxinvest.com, they can see all the information, read it, and join in. You can actually buy a share with your credit card as long as you're eligible. And the government sets those rules on eligibility, not us. But take a look, and I think you'll find it. We've gotten tremendous reaction.
All right.
That's fantastic.
Greg, I'm just gonna let you hit the questions. I'm just impressed as a B to have him on the show, and I know you have some really good questions. Go ahead.
Well, I'm excited. We'll leave the debate the other night. I'll tell you, I was watching a lot of Fox, and then I came across you guys by accident when I was getting a little confused whether I was listening to CNN or Fox. A couple years back, they got a little bit blended with their fair and balanced. Didn't quite seem that way any longer. But I've been very impressed with how you guys deliver, current news and the politics and so on. Also, I did make a note that Google had you friendship with President Trump, our commander in chief, and you tell us about that. How did you guys meet? What's that like?
Well, I've known President Trump for over 25 years. Remember, Newsmax was founded in 1998 in West Palm Beach. And, some people say history is all about geography. And I was in short period, I met him. And then we became friends. I became a member of his different clubs. Newsmax was the first to take him seriously as a political person. Remember, he used to be a Democrat. And we talked about him potentially running in 2012. He decided not to run. So Newsmax, although we have a very good friendship, I see him. I just saw him over a week ago here in New Jersey. Spent a couple hours with him, actually. Newsmax is still fair in its coverage to him and everyone else. We cover him. We have people that are critical of him. But we, unlike Fox, where they were trying to freeze him out, they don't cover all his rallies and speeches. They don't cover him as a news person. The chairman of Fox once said they wanted to make Trump a non-person. I think that's wrong. I think our job is to report the news, let the public decide. And that approach is done really well because our ratings are up, double digits, sometimes up 50% in certain day parts over last year. So people are doing what you're doing, Greg. They're checking out Newsmax on their cable systems. They're saying, okay, I like it. And they're sticking. And that's great. It's been an exciting adventure for us.
Yeah,
That's great.
It definitely seems like an exciting adventure. And I'm just going to go with the point. It's just that ultimately, at the end of the day, you guys are doing something different than your competitors. And that is really covering the news the way it should be covered and give another side than most of the mainstream media does. And I think then I remember Newsmax and listening to commercials when I listened to Limbaugh and Sean Hannity before it even was television or it was starting to be television. You
Yeah.
really picked the right time to go with what this model's become, right?
Yeah, talk radio and talk shows like yours have been, Neil, a tremendous boost to Newsmax from back in the beginning. People like Mike Reagan, Rush Limbaugh mentioned Newsmax. I knew Rush, he lived near me. We were the outlet talk radio would prefer because they knew they weren't getting a fair shake. The media research study just did a research since Kamala Harris got anointed. She wasn't elected, anointed by the Democratic Party. She's gotten almost 85% positive press coverage from the big media. Trump, during the same period in the study, got 90% negative press coverage. What does that tell you about the state of media? I mean, they don't even pretend to be non-biased. They don't pretend anymore. Look at the ABC debate. The ABC debate, ABC was working with Kamala Harris. They constantly, with 5 or 6 times, challenged Trump,
Yeah.
but they never challenged her on any of her information, statistics, or claims. I mean, how can you say that's a fair debate? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just patently a fraud.
Yeah, I'm not a great political guy or anything, but I've seen her speak before, and she seemed pretty prepared, as if she had had the questions well in advance of the debate. Is all I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean, any reasonable thinking person thinks she probably had the questions in advance.
Yeah,
She seemed to have, and she's a person like in other venues, when she's questioned about anything, she doesn't seem to know what to say. And then there's some, they're saying it's a conspiracy theory, but the guy that manufactures this earring that has a microphone on it, a hearing aid, it's an earring, said it looks remarkably like his product.
wow, that's
Okay.
amazing.
All right. So Greg has his final question for you, and go ahead, Greg, with that final question.
Yeah. So I really appreciate it, Chris. Real quick, before I ask you that, are you guys going to put your hat in the ring to do the next debate? I know Fox jumped in, but it would be
Well,
great
we
if
are
you guys could
talking
do
with
that.
both candidate sides about potentially doing something. We may end up doing town halls. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, a lot of what we do is just continuous coverage. And I think you really like it. Like we'll be covering President Trump's speech today, this afternoon, 5 o'clock. He's giving his rally in Vegas on Friday night. We'll be covering live. So these things, and we will be covering Harris events. As difficult as it may be for some people to watch them, they should, because they get an understanding of what she's saying and what she's about. And I think that's a good thing.
Me too. Me too.
All
Well,
right,
Chris, here's my final question. We ask all of our entrepreneurs, our business leaders, and celebrities this question. Tell me, Chris, what do you feel is the most important thing in life you've ever learned?
I like Isaac Asimov's quote. He said, "Nothing disturbs me more than people who think they know everything, especially to the people like us who do." So that's a joke. But I think the most important thing is the limits of my own knowledge, and that you got to rely on basically getting information from a lot of people, and you got to rely on God ultimately, because He is the beginning and the eternal source of all truth and knowledge. And I think that to me is the biggest thing. I think as you grow in understanding and wisdom, is to know how little you actually do know.
That's so amazing. Last thing, Chris, I guess, what is your day like as a CEO of Newsmax? What time does it begin and end? Just for people who know that.
Oh, I'm not a morning person because I come out of journalism. I was in print newspapers, and we tended to work late at night to get newspapers out and do stories. So I'm up at 6:30 in the morning, but I'm not like working right away. I do check in on a number of key websites. There's this I check in on Newsmax's stuff. There's a guy named John Ellis that does a really good Substack, a summary of the news. There's Politico's Playbook. I like that. And then I get a focus on what's going on. I'm in the office, and we do a 10 a.m. meeting every day it's called our managers meeting. We have close to 500 people working for Newsmax now. So that's an important meeting. And then I take usually visitors and guests late morning. And if I have a lunch or business lunch or a working lunch, and then I do a lot of wind up stuff, and then occasionally interviews like your show, or I'm traveling, or there's things interrupting the day. But a lot of the business stuff I do, I like to do in the morning, and then do shows like this or other meetings that are less critical for the business in the afternoon.
All right. We appreciate it, Chris. Thanks again.
Neil, thank you so
Yes.
much.
All right.
Really,
Check out
Greg, nice to
Newsmax,
meet you.
guys, if you've not, and we appreciate it. All right. That's special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show.